Mr. Sharik, are we live?
Yes, ma'am. Live.
Okay. Mohida madam, would you like to start? Intro, it's live.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this webinar of Naari Nayan to Nivesh. We have had very interesting sessions till now every Wednesday, and everyone is looking forward to each session every Wednesday. And we have had lots to learn from these sessions. Thank you, Dr. Jayashree, and thank you, Dr. Shraddha, for doing this. And without wasting much time, I will hand over to Dr. Jayashree and to Dr. Shraddha for the further proceedings.
Thank you, madam. So, we have almost reached more than half of our journey. So, we have been traveling through the intricacies of finances, personal finances. And in personal finance, one of the most important aspect is investing on yourself. And that is the reason we thought we'll take practice management also into finance, personal finance aspect. So we have eminent people presenting. We have around Dr. Mohida Madam presenting on the IOL bundling and the legal aspects. We have an exemplary panelist to share their wisdom. We have young panelists also. We have veterans in the field. So we are looking forward to bombardment of knowledge here. So, I'll just, it is actually a difficult task to introduce each and everyone in their full glory in such short time, but I will try doing some justice in that. Let me just share the slides. So, our moderator, it was her concept, and she is the speaker also today. Dr. Mohida Madam does not need any introduction. She is the founder and chairperson of Tirupati Eye Center and Research Institute at Noida. She is a very eminent ophthalmologist, senior eye surgeon of repute for last 27 years. She is a joint secretary of All India Ophthalmological Society, general secretary, Women Ophthalmological Society. We have more than 7,000 members in WOS. Women Ophthalmologists Society worldwide, 29 countries in that, GNEC alumni, ex-General Secretary, UP of Society of Ophthalmologists, ex-President Secretary of Noida Ophthalmological Society, IMA Noida, ex-President Rotary Club of Noida 24-25, District Interact Chair Rotary 30-12, 26-27, invited speaker for more than 400 national and international conferences, WIO Honorary Award in 2017 at San Diego, USA, Champions of Change Award at WOC 2018 at Spain. She had won gold medal at IIRC, ISC, KRS, BOA, selected as Changemakers Film 2025 by Dogflix for a film on her. APAO Distinguished Service Award in 2025. It was only awarded to one Indian every year at Asia Pacific region. And regarding me, I am Dr. Jayashree PV. I'm a glaucoma and cataract consultant working in Arya Eye Care Thrissur. My field of interest is in glaucoma, cataract, personal finance, and financial literacy. I am the junior associate head of Kerala chapter of Women Ophthalmological Society. Coming to my co-lead, Dr. Shraddha Sureka, she is also fellowship trained cornea and anterior segment surgeon. She was trained in the prestigious LV Prasad Eye Institute, Mumbai. She's a founder of Sendra Hospital at Malad, Mumbai. Her special interest includes dry eye disease, cornea transplant, ocular surface surgery, and she's also honorary cornea surgeon at Grand Government Medical College, Sir J.J. Group of Hospitals, Mumbai. She's very passionate about personal finance and advancing women's financial literacy. Now, coming to today's speaker, Dr. Praji Grover. She's the director and phaco-refractive glaucoma surgeon at Sri American Eye Center in Delhi. Areas of expertise include glaucoma and cataract. She's holding positions as WS Executive of Delhi chapter. She's the reviewer of DOS. She also is the instructor of IS, MICS and evaluator at AIOC. She has won awards as Role Model of Year, Woman for Social Change, and Miss Marvel's Personality. And coming to Dr. Professor Mohan Rajan, sir. So one slide and all cannot do any justice. He is the chairman, medical director of Rajan Eye Hospital. He is the president-elect of AAOS, adjunct professor of ophthalmology, Tamil Nadu, MGR Medical University, president SN alumni, past president TNOA, past president IIRC, counselor at APOTS, member International Intraocular Implant Club, Chairman Eye Care Rotary 3232. He is specialist in both anterior and posterior segment surgeries, has more than 2,000 presentations, national and international, performed more than 150 live surgeries, has several innovations, Quick Chop Express, Panjorexis, Mohanrajan Chopper, etc., has delivered 13 named orations, published 52 publications in various journals, has won several Best Video awards in all possible conferences, has trained more than 500 ophthalmologists, winner of 93 Ophthalmic Premier League worldwide, has received more than 60 awards, the Best Doctor Award thrice from Government of Tamil Nadu. Dr. Chitra Ramamurthy, she is also um, a great achiever, the medical director of Eye Foundation Cataract Refractive Surgery and Glaucoma. She is the vice president of AAOS. She has many papers to her credit, contributed chapters in textbooks and on refractive surgery. Her areas of interest, as mentioned, is cataract refractive surgery and glaucoma. Another exemplary panelist we have is Dr. Harshvardhan Gupta. He's the director of Om Netra Kendra Raipur. His expertise is spans into phaco-refractive and pediatric ophthalmology. Currently, his positions include he is the member MCAOS, Trade Committee AOS, Insurance Committee AOS. Formerly, he was the president, chairman, scientific committee, editor proceedings at Chhattisgarh State Ophthalmological Society. He has been the national faculty and free paper evaluator of AIOS for more than 25 years. Coming to Dr. Senthil Tamilasan, sir. He is an ophthalmologist with a different aspect to ophthalmology. He is the founder of Ophthal Practice Development. His expertise into eye hospital strategy, business growth, and teleophthalmology. His key positions is as advisor, mentor, and strategic partner. His key projects includes the book called Psychology of Medical Practice. Areas of interest is practice management, psychology, and growth. Coming to another important personality, Dr. Monica Chetani. She's the director of the Eye Clinic. Her areas of expertise is LASIK and phakic IOL. Positions is EC member of Gujarat Ophthalmological Society, Baroda Ophthalmological Society, and WOS. Her projects include Unstoppables at WOS, and areas of interest is refractive surgery. Another exemplary panelist is Dr. Minu Dutt. She is the medical director of Arya Eye Care at Thrissur. Her areas of expertise include phaco, squint, and oculoplasty. Another panelist, he is also Dr. Shraddha's spouse, Dr. Rohit Modi, director at Centra Eye Hospital, honorary surgeon at Sir JJ Hospital Group of Hospitals. His expertise include retina and uvea. He has held positions as ex-secretary Bombay Ophthalmological Association, ex-secretary Scientific Committee of Maharashtra Ophthalmological Society. His areas of interest is lifestyle medicine and investments. And our young panelists include Dr. Aarti Agrawal. She is the medical director of Agrawal Eye Hospital. Her areas of expertise is cataract and refractive surgery. And welcome all the panelists, speakers, and the moderator. And we will quickly go on to the first talk. And we will listen to all the wisdom.
Shall I? uh, share my screen.
Please, please.
So I will be talking on building a successful practice from zero. Starting a practice from zero is both exciting and intimidating. We all learn how to examine patients, diagnose disease, and perform surgeries, but very few of us are actually taught how to build a practice. When you start on your own, you're not just a doctor. You suddenly become an administrator, HR manager, financial planner, marketer, and sometimes even the person answering the calls. So the early days can be challenging with limited capitals, no established brand, fewer patients, and uncertainty of whether patient will trust you or not. But building a successful practice is not about having everything on a day one. It is about starting with what you have, making smart decisions, building trust one patient at a time, and growing it systematically. So today I want to share a practical roadmap from choosing the location and setting up the clinic to equipments, finances, branding, referrals, patient experience, and finally scaling the practice. So let's look at how we can build an ophthalmic practice from zero step by step. So before we talk about how to build a practice, I think first question is why solo practice at all? For me, solo practice is not about working alone. It is about having the autonomy to make decisions, clinical decisions, financial decisions, and decisions about the kind of patient experience we want to create. It gives us opportunity to build a patient-centered eye care model where we can decide how much time we spend with patients, how we communicate, how we follow up with them. And another major advantage being a women ophthalmologist is flexibility. We can decide our working hours and structure our practice in such a way that allows us to integrate our personal and professional responsibilities. And of course, solo practice means taking responsibility for everything from finances, from staff managing to complication handling to and difficult decisions also. So it requires preparation, resilience, and willingness to continuously learn. But ultimately, it gives you something very valuable, that is ownership of your own vision. So the next obvious question is when should I actually take the leap? So my answer is as early as possible, but not before you are ready. But you should have certain foundations. First is you need to be a multitasker because in the beginning you will wear many hats. Second, you should be a people's person. Your first patient, staff, referrals are going to determine how your practice grows. Next is you need to be confident enough, compassionate enough, and the most important, you need to have adequate clinical and surgical skill, ability to manage all the complications, and ability to handle all the patients with complications. So I don't believe there is a magical number of years after which someone is ready, but you are ready when you have your clinical skills, when you are emotionally mature enough, and your willingness to take responsibilities. So next is the selection of your clinic, location of your clinic. This can influence your patient profile, visibility, accessibility, referrals, and ultimately the growth of your practice. So I would strongly recommend not choosing a place simply because the rent is cheap or the property looks attractive. There may be two broad approaches: near your residence or far from your residence. If you choose the first thing, that is near your residence, it gives you less travel time, better work life integration, greater convenience, but it can be particular valuable for women who has to balance personal and professional responsibilities. But the disadvantage may be the area may be already saturated or there may be limited scope for rapid expansion. Second option is going farther from the home, particularly into undeserved or undeveloped area. This may have less competition with larger opportunity to establish yourself as a local eye care provider, but you may have to consider the sustainability of traveling there every day, whether you can maintain the practice for the long term or not. Remember, a good location is not always the busiest location. For any ophthalmic practice, I would look at accessibility, parking facility, visibility, nearby residential area, referring doctors, demographics, future development, and most importantly, whether the location can support the kind of practice I want to build. So, goal is to find a location where practice can grow. So once you have identified the right location, next is should I rent the place or take on a long term lease or take an option to buy or actually purchase the property? Yes, there is no correct answer to this. The decision should depend on the availability of capital to you, expected patient volume, confidence in the location, and long term vision for the practice. If you go for the rent, for someone starting from the zero, renting is the simplest way to begin. The initial investment is lower. There is a flexibility. If the location doesn't work, we can move. But we need to look carefully at the rent acceleration, lock in periods, and how much freedom we want to modify the premises. If you go for the second option, long-term lease can be attractive when we are reasonably confident about the location. It gives us stability, allow us time to invest in interior equipments and branding without worrying about moving every few years. But lease agreement becomes extremely important. Look for the tenure, acceleration, renewal, exit clauses, and premises for modification should all be clearly understood. Option to buy, this is an interesting middle path. We can establish the practice first, understand the patient flow, and then decide whether the property is worth purchasing or not. But if we choose this route, the purchase price, timeline, and terms should be clearly documented upfront. Owning an option, buying gives us maximum control and creates a long-term assets, but it can make sense whether the practice established and if we are confident that this is where we want to stay for many years. But the advantage is it requires significant capital, and money invested in the property is money that cannot be controlled simultaneously with the investment in the equipment, staff, technology, practice growth. That is totally different. So my advice to young ophthalmologists would be, don't just buy a property simply because owning feels more successful. First ask, can this location generate enough patient volume for you? Can my practice comfortably support the property cost? And will I still want to be here for future 10 to 15 hours from now, years from now? Sometimes the smartest business decision is to rent first, then prove the model and buy it later on. So objective is not to own the building. Objective is to build a sustainable, profitable, and patient-centered practice. So another thing is, who exactly are we building this practice for? So define your practice identity. Who are you serving? Define your ideal patient. Is it a family looking for a comprehensive eye care, or elderly cataract patients, or glaucoma patient requiring long-term care, children, diabetic patients, or patient looking for premium cataract or refractive solution? And second thing is what you will be known for in your 10-15 years. Like, she is excellent for cataract surgery, or she's a glaucoma expert, or they are wonderful with patients. Your practice can offer many services, but have a clear repo. What geographic areas will you serve? Think about a primary catchment area, the neighborhoods, the community from which most of your patients can realistic reach to you. Then consider about your secondary catchment area for the patient who will travel specifically for your expertise. Your location should influence your services, pricing, timings, outreach, and referral strategy. So, what is your niche? Identify that in the beginning. So define Design your ideal patient journey. Don't think just about the consultation. Ask yourself at every stage, what should the patient see, hear, and feel? What I want to be known for glaucoma specialist or a cataract specialist. So start with the right business model. There are two models. One may be OPD with a visiting OT. Second may be a own ophthalmic daycare center. If you start with the model A, for someone starting from the zero, this can be a very practical model. You can establish your OPDs, build your patient base, use an established OT for surgeries rather than investing heavily in the OT structure from day one. Advantages are clear. It is a low initial investment with minimum staff, with low fixed costs, but low financial risk, but low income also, because you'll have to give your share to the OT setup people also. But the most important point is focus on build your patient base first. So your early years are about building trust, referrals, reputation, and predictable surgical volume. Model B is on your ophthalmic daycare center. So once your volume is increased, or you may start from day one also this thing if you have a enough capital. So now you gain a greater control over your infrastructure, patient experience, scheduling, and OT protocols. Both things are correct, depends on your capital. So don't just build a clinic, build a great team. So once we are decided with a business model, so a clinic may start with just with a doctor with a one or two staff member, even a small practice, but initially have a receptionist, optometrist, technician, OT assistant, housekeeping, and everyone should be clear about their roles. So this has a benefit of when the responsibilities are unclear, everyone assumes someone else will do the job. That creates duplication, missed tasks, delays, frustrations. But when roles are clearly defined, we create accountability, ownership, and this directly improves your efficiency and the patient experience. So create SOPs from day one for registration, vision charting, IOP measurement, dilatation, OCT, biometry. So coming to consumables, these may look very small expenses, but they are recurring and that has a significant cost in the ophthalmic practice. Like for OPD infra, you need to arrange fluorescent strips, Schirmer strips, topical anesthetic, dilating drops, basic 26 gauge needle for foreign body removal. If you start with OT, you have to look for ringer lactate, adrenaline, pilocarpine, viscoelastic. Every little consumable you have to look on your own. Drums, autoclave, linens. So when should you buy a expensive equipments? So like OCT fields. So expensive equipments is not a will this machine generate more value than it costs to own? So before buying any expensive equipment, just decide on your thing that whether this is going to give me ROI. So don't buy equipment because everyone has it, but buy when this is clear your clinical need, sufficient demand, and
Right.
financially sensible returns. So there are different options buying an equipment. You can buy a new. So this may boost your confidence because this gives full after service, and any type of cataract, if you go for phaco machine, any type of cataract is easier with a new machine. If you buy from old from seniors or colleagues, there are no after support refurb. I really had a bad experience. So build your brand locally on Google, Instagram, social media. Multiple channels are available. So educate your patient, make educational videos for them. Educate rather than constantly advertising. Answer the patient's question: when to operate for cataract, when eye pressures are high, when LASIK is safe, why children develop myopia. So visibility brings patient in, education builds authority, and community creates reach. Patient advocacy builds long-term trust. And the most important principle, so let us bring everything we have discussed so far into a simple equation. So a successful ophthalmic practice is not built by clinical expertise alone. It is clinical expertise multiplied by patient trust, multiplied by visibility, multiplied by system you have developed, multiplied by financial discipline you made. So a wrong sequence to avoid, there are two sequences on the chart slide. So buying expensive equipment with hire lots of staff and wait for the patient. So this high cost and the low patient will give you stress and burnout. So rather to go for a right sequence, identify patient needs, start on lean, keep it simple, create excellent experience with the patient, build referrals, measure your numbers, and then reinvest your profit and expand sustainability. So know your numbers from day one. You don't need to do an MBA to run a successful practice, but I would recommend you to track the simple monthly dashboard of your new patients, follow-ups, cataract consultation, cataract surgery, your marketing expenses, rent, staff cost, profit, outstanding payments. Calculate an important number, break even patient per month, break even surgeries, revenue per patient, and contribution margin per surgery. So ultimately, what gets measured gets managed, and what gets managed grows. So this is once your practice is stabilized, your revenue streams, build a multiple revenue streams. You can have your cataract clinic, glaucoma clinic. You can have OCT fields, biometry. You can have myopia clinics. You can have dry eye therapies, visual rehabilitation. So the goal is simple: the more value for patient, the greater stability for the practice and sustainable growth. So then building a practice is a journey, not a race. So first survive by getting a patient and controlling cost, then stabilize the system, consistency and predictable revenue. Next, by differentiate by becoming known for something and building the trust. Then finally scale up by adding people, services and location strategically. So your first 1,000 patients are not just a number, they are the foundation of your practice. Gold is not simply get 1,000 patients, but to build relationship with 1,000 people who trust you. So this is a practice by five wheel shows how small improvements create a powerful cycle of the growth. Excellent clinical outcome will create a happy patients. Happy patient will create a positive review and recommendation, bringing in new patients, and the right patient leads to more appropriate surgery and stronger revenue, which allows us to invest in better equipment and staff. That improves the patient experience, creating more even referrals, and the cycle continues. So the ultimate goal is to build a system that delivers better care and better outcome. So your referral, build a referrals from physician, diabetologist, pediatricians, neurologist, cardiologist, optometrist, optical stores, other ophthalmologists, schools, RWAs, corporates, community group. So give patient an exceptional patient experience. From the first phone call through the reception, billing, follow-ups, patient should feel heard, respected, informed, and cared for. So make cataract surgery your strongest support. And so my turning points were like every practice is defined by key learning points that shape its legacy. From my first surgery, from first complicated surgery to first rejected case by someone else, doing my own mother's surgery, and the patient referral increases via word of mouth. So, building a successful practice from scratch is a step by step journey grounded in vision, planning, and patient trust. Start by defining your goal, plan smart, invest wisely in essential setups. As you build your team, focus on delivering clinical excellence, establishing a strong presence, cultivating referral networks. Always measure your performance and refine your systems. Remember, you don't build a practice in a day, you build it every single day. And my simple message is you don't need a big hospital to build a great practice. You need a clear vision, consistency, clinical excellence, and courage to start. So it is a journey, Your practice will constantly evolve. The work is never quite done, it is always a work in progress. So, give maximum time to your practice, maximum focus and consistency. Thank you. Thank you for your time and attention. I'll just stop my screen share.
Wonderful, wonderful. Very nice, Prachi.
Thank you, sir.
So thank you for joining, sir. Sendil sir also.
Thanks, Jayashree. Sorry for the delay.
Oh, no problem, sir. It's we're grateful you joined, sir. And we have a great session by Dr. Mohida Madam also coming up. We'll after that we'll have the discussion together. Is that fine?
Yes, fine.
Yes.
So thank you, Jayashree, and thank you to everybody for joining this session. Thank you, Dr. Mohan Rajan sir, Dr. Senthil, Dr. Rohit Modi. We are especially thankful to all the men who joined because your presence is very important in WAS. And of course, our women panelists are equally important. So, after a very insightful session by Dr. Prachi, my goodness, how long are you there? Have you been there in practice, Dr. Prachi?
It's been 7 years.
Oh, 7 years.
7 years. In 7 years.
The way you talked as if I thought it was 30, 40 years.
Yeah, I
Really
also
fantastic.
thought so. I also thought so. I've been there for 29 years, 28 years, and she has given a whole journey of what I would have learned in 28 years. She's learned in 7 years. Wonderful.
Great clarity, isn't it, madam?
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
So I have a topic which is about IOL bundling and equipment agreement legal safeguards. Now, I will give a disclaimer right in the beginning that this is a topic which is never taught to us in our curriculum. So we don't know what is right and what is wrong. But yes, we learn by default all this as we go on in our practice, and especially when we start as solo practitioners and go on buying equipment. This is something which comes with time, and we learn after burning our fingers also many times. So the whole purpose of this session today and this talk of mine as well as Prachi's was that we should share our experiences as practitioners as to what we learned, how we learned, and there is an esteemed panelist here. It may not be always that whatever I have said may be the right thing. I would also like to know later from the esteemed panelists as to what they learned in their practices, and so that we can share this information with everybody, and everybody could find a little bit of shortcuts, and everybody could do better than what we did. So, what is IOL bundling? Let's understand first. IOL bundling means that there is a desire to buy an equipment. We may not have enough money to buy that equipment, or we may have that money to buy the equipment. However, we decided not to spend that whole money in the equipment, and rather we thought let's go in for IOL bundling, intraocular lens bundling, where we give a commitment to the company that we will be using so many of your lenses over 2, 3, or 4 years, whatever the duration may be. And in that 2, 3, or 4 years, some part of that intraocular lenses, the money that we pay goes into the equipment. So that equipment becomes either free of cost or it becomes much lower cost than what it was actually. So that's what IOL bundling is all about. We have had a lot of debates in WAS about whether or not we should go for IOL bundling. There are pros and cons to both the aspects. Some say that bundling is not a good option, and some say that bundling is a good option. However, today we are not going into that debate. We are assuming that you decided to go in for bundling, and we are trying to tell you some points that you should keep in mind when you go for this IOL bundling. So, as I said, it's that a desire came in your mind that you want to purchase a new equipment. Ophthalmology is very intensive, and there are new equipment and upgraded equipment which keep coming every year. And it's always that you want to buy the best of and the latest of machines. You may or may not have the finances available. You want to avoid a loan. When you want to avoid a loan, you you plan for an IOL bundling, and in an IOL bundling, you always feel you got the machine free of cost, but nothing in this world comes free of cost, and there may be a catch to it, and there may be some hidden points which you need to know so that your expectations are clear and you don't later regret your decisions, nor do you go into any conflict, and you're prepared for what you have to do. So when you decide on an IOL bundling with a particular equipment, the company will come up with a projection plan for you based on your practice, or in they sometimes call it your business. Based on your practice or your business, they will calculate how many intraocular lenses can be bundled for maybe 2, 3, or 4 years and on a monthly basis, such that your equipment becomes either free of cost or a reduced cost. Now, I would suggest when they come up with these projections, they help us out with these projections because we have no idea that what these projections are initially when we do our first bundling. So you should check your last 3 years numbers and what your growth has been in premium intraocular lenses. Now, because the bundlings happens mostly on premium intraocular lenses, not very basic lenses. So you should yourself check what has been your numbers and what has been your growth. And there is an assumed growth of 10 to 20%. And so you can assume that growth for the next 3 years or 4 years to be 10 to 20% every year so that you get realistic numbers. Now, when you get these realistic numbers, you have to see to it that you cannot bundle the all your lenses with the machine, because you have to keep a 30 to 40% at least 30 to 40% slot free for other company IOLs also, because it may be that that particular lens which you have bundled or the lenses that you have bundled are not fitting into the patient clinically, or the patient may have their own choice. Today, our patients are very, very knowledgeable. Many times they come and tell us that this is the lens I want. Then you cannot tell them, no, I'm bundled with this lens, and hence I will implant you this lens only. So sometimes they have their own choice. So you have to keep this 30 to 40% slot free, and you can take that 60 to 70% rest of the numbers for bundling. And ideally, you should choose a company which has a wider range of IOLs, because it is not that you bundle a single lens. You may bundle 3 to 4 type of lenses. So choose where there is a wider range. Now, what has to be a target about the multiplier? There is always a multiplier, which means that if your equipment is 10 lakhs worth, then if it is a 3 times commitment, they would give you 3, 4, 5, or 6 times commitment. If there is a 3 times commitment, you have to buy lenses worth 30 lakhs, 3.5 means 35 lakhs, and 4 times means 40 lakhs. And similarly, 6 times would mean you have to buy lenses worth 60 lakhs, and they would give you a duration. You have to buy it over 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, whatever you can negotiate with them. So they will generally come with anywhere between 4 to 6 times, but you have to try and negotiate to 3 to 3.5 times. That's the minimum that if you have very good negotiating powers, you may be able to get. But generally, it settles to around 4 to 5 times. Negotiating the multiplier depends upon your negotiating power, but simultaneously you have to check the premium that has been added to the intraocular lens. Now, when this bundling is happening, there is some premium which often gets added. It may not always be there. If you can manage to get intraocular lenses without a premium, that's the best, because ultimately they have some profit in the intraocular lenses also. But if you cannot manage to get it without a premium, there is a premium added to it, which means this premium means if the lens is for say 20,000 rupees, a premium of 5,000 gets added. So each lens comes at 25,000 rupees, and this 5,000 rupees is something which goes into the equipment. Apart from this, within this 20,000 rupees, there may be some profit that they have from the lens. Part of that profit may also be going into the machine. So that's how it works. Now, even if there is a premium added, it may sometimes not be a bad choice, because this premium is like an interest free loan to you. Because if you decide to take a loan from the bank, anyway you would be giving an interest. And here, but from my side, if I was you, I would prefer a lens without the premium, because if it's a larger number, I'm happy, rather than having a lesser number with a premium added to it. Your strategy should be a value based commitment. Many times the commitment is such that they will tell you four, five type of lenses, and they will say lens number one is so many lenses you have to use, lens number two, so many, three, so many, and four, so many. Rather, if it's a value based commitment, that this rupees so much has to be, so much worth intraocular lenses has to be bought, then it is always better, because you cannot predict over the next 2 3 years which lens would you use more, because it all depends upon patient choices also, and about the on the patients also. Maybe lens number one gets used more and lens number two gets used less. Then if your commitment is based on the type of lens, the number of type of lenses, then you would have to buy extra lenses at the time, at the when you finish the commitment. Rather, if it is value based, then you have to buy intraocular lenses worth that much value, and your commitment is over. So it should be the type of lens base, which means that there should be a product flexibility. By scope of expansion, I mean that there may be some consumables also that you are purchasing from the same company. So if you can manage to negotiate such that those consumables also come within the bundling, then that's a better deal, because anyway you are buying those consumables, so this will help you in finishing your commitments faster. And over time, over the next 2 3 years where you are bundled, you may want a modification somewhere. Most of the times, companies are ready for the modification if you are following your commitments, and that should not be. It should not be that again there is a legal agreement. Try to talk with them that let this be on a mail, because a legal agreement means a lot of formalities. Yes, on the first go there is always a legal agreement which is formed, and I'll talk about it a little later. So there are a few things that you keep in mind. I burnt my fingers in some of my agreements, so I'm sharing it with you. What about IOL injector? Now, when you are bundling your lenses, you need an injector also, whether it is inclusive with the deal or not. Now, if you don't include the injector, then you pay for so many injectors over the next 2 3 years. Rather, get it bundled within the bundling. What about taxes? Whether the deal is inclusive of taxes in each IOL? Because if you don't look at the tax part, you will have to pay that extra on every IOL. What about IOL exchange for damages, expiry, cancelled surgeries? Now, this should also be included. If there is any exchange that has to be done, if there is an expiry, then it should be inclusive with each IOL in the deal. Now, securing proper documentation for tax and depreciation is possible. It is required. Now, you bought a machine and you bundled it with intraocular lens. Now, whenever you buy a machine, by now we all know as ophthalmologists that there is something called depreciation, which we get year after year for around 10 years. Now, if our machine is not billed or invoiced, then we will not get that depreciation. So we have to also make sure that we get an equipment invoice so that our depreciation also starts. Now, another point very important is about the credit note. Sometimes they will give you a credit note for whatever you are buying as a rebate. The credit note is always added to your income. So there is an extra tax on it. So rather than getting a credit note, you should ask for a rebate, because then you will not have to pay an extra tax on it. You have to be careful about unforeseen events or circumstances. You were not able to fulfill your commitment. Then what? There should, if there can be a clause in written saying that there can be an extension of duration, that's the best. You should ask them that if I'm not able to fulfill in 3 years, will you be able to give me an extension for 1 to 2 years? And this, most of the times they agree, provided you have been uh, trying to fulfill your commitments as best as you can. So your integrity is also important here. You promised them that 60% of my lenses will go with you, but you started using some other lenses, and you were using only 20% of their lenses. Then your integrity is at question, because you're not fulfilling your commitment, and then they may not agree to your any changes. But if you maintain your integrity, they will be flexible. Secondly, if there is a machine breakdown, you bought an equipment, that machine has broken down and is not working for 2 months. In that period, the compliance for intraocular lenses should also be stopped, and you should get an extension for around 1 to 2 months, whatever the breakdown period is. And there should be an exit clause. Your commitment was for 4 years, but somewhere down the line, at 2 years, you decided, I don't want to be in this commitment any longer and I want to exit. Right from the beginning, when you are making this deal, you should know what your exit clause is, which means you should ask them as to what is the amount that is going from my each intraocular lens for the machine, so that you can pay that off and you can exit. Because if you don't do that, then later you may get an answer that you have to buy all these intraocular lenses that are left, and then only you can exit. So if you want to compare bundling versus loan, there is another option of taking a bank loan. Just comparing the two. With bundling, there may be an immediate buy. With loans, there may be processing time and fees. With bundling, the most important point I feel, there is less pressure for EMIs, and there is always a flexibility in payment if you are not able to pay. But with loans, there is a heavy pressure, which means you cannot miss a single EMI. If you miss a single EMI, the next month you will have a reminder, bank calls, people visiting from the bank. And if you miss it for 3 months, you will have bouncers in your clinic or hospital. But when you are in bundling, you are at a good you are in a good association with the company. You can just request them, this happened. Maybe you became unwell, you are the solo practitioner, you are not able to, or some other calamity happened in your clinic or hospital. You can always request them for a 2 or 3 months extension, but this flexibility is not there in loans. But the flip side is you lose your freedom to choose the intraocular lenses when you do a bundling. You are kind of under pressure to use the lenses for which you are committed. Whereas if it's a loan, there is no such commitment, and you have a freedom to choose whatever lenses you want. When you enter into this bundling agreement with a lot of intraocular lenses with an equipment, for the equipment you should see that you should ensure that the manufacturer is also involved. Many times we don't even realize we are actually dealing with the distributors. So the manufacturer is more important than a distributor as far as a machine is concerned, because they are responsible for service continuity. They are responsible for direct accountability, whether it is AMC, CMC, etc. And they are responsible for the supply also. So they are obligated for this, whereas the distributor has no such obligation. So if as I come to the agreement part in the second half of my presentation, the agreement has always to be either with the company or a tripartite agreement between the you company and the distributor. The clock stop clause for equipment downtime, I've already discussed this. This simply means that this is simple, but it is complex when it actually happens, that commitments must not continue while the hospital or the clinic is unable to use the machine because of the technical failure. That period should be taken as null and void. Then you have already, I talked about structuring an early exit mechanism. So you need to know in the intraocular lens how much is the profit that is being sent to the machine. This is important that you know this, because then only you'll know how much you have to finally pay. And how much is the payout? For example, if the intraocular lens is for 10,000 rupees, and out of this, 2,000 may be going for the machine, and 2,000 may be their profit from the intraocular lens. So finally, when you exit, how much is it that you have to pay? You should know. When you are going in for a legal document, which is the second part of my talk. Mostly I've discussed in my first talk, but I'll just repeat a few important points. Your agreement should always be tripartite and not solely with the distributor or preferably with the company. Secondly, when there is a high value equipment, you should take a legal opinion and your lawyer should once see the agreement. Many times you will find that these agreements are all skewed towards the company and there is hardly anything that is about you. So any agreement is considered as a valid agreement if 50% is towards one party and 50% is towards other party. So your lawyer will be able to tell this. So rather than falling into a dispute and conflict later and taking out your agreement, it is better that you get it checked by your lawyer right in the beginning so that you avoid any conflict later. Now, another important point, I recently learned this. You should see the date of your agreement and you should see the date of your installation. Your agreement may be on one date, but your installation may be a few months later, and your CMCs always start from the date of installation. So this becomes an important point because it may take 3, 4, 5, 6 months for the installation to actually happen. Then you should show your agreement also to your auditors because they will give you taxation advice about GST, income tax, depreciation, credit notes, etc. And you don't have all that knowledge, but they will make you knowledgeable. So all commitments and amendments should be via official company email and nothing should be verbal or on WhatsApp. Then only it is valued because you talk to a particular company employee, but he left the company and switched to another company. Then you are in a soup. So everything should be on written. And 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 another important point is about the AMC and CMC after the period that has been in which so normally you get a 1 year standard warranty, and after that, whatever you may be able to negotiate, you may get 2, 3, 4, 5 years of extended CMC. So you should also kind of lock in the CMC rates after your CMC is over for at least 5 years so that you are not, because once you have bought a machine, now you are kind of dependent on the company. Now if your rates are locked in prior, you will be able to get a better deal than if you start negotiating for the CMCs after 3 years. So, and about the supply safety, include a clause in written stating that no penalty applies for commitment failures caused by company's own supply disruption. This we have discussed 2, 3 times in this, but this is important. So there can be a line in the agreement that if commitments are not fulfilled in duration, there may be an extension granted, which may be interest free. If you are able to negotiate for this line, you will be the happiest. Then there should be about equipment extension we've already discussed. All your agreements should be registered because then only they have a legal value, and it should be mentioned that if for jurisdiction it should be in your own area, because if tomorrow there is a dispute, you should not be they should not ask you to come to another area. So finally, my last slide about strategic financial summary. Negotiate well and firmly. Get all on paper in written. Maintain your integrity. Avoid conflict with the company. After all, we have to build a good association with the company, and the industry as well as our ophthalmologists have to survive together for year after year for many years, and simultaneously build a financial feasibility and profits. You don't have to be just break even, you have to earn profits and you have to have good earnings. So thank you so much. Happy bundling, signing, and happy earning.
Wonderful, wonderful,
Thank
Manja.
Thank you, sir.
Mhm.
We need your input, sir. I'm sure you have lots to tell us.
Thank you. Yes.
Anything you would like to add for bundling or you differ from whatever I said?
Shall we discuss about Dr. Prachi's talk first?
Yes, yes, yes.
No problem. No, then we'll come to your.
Please.
I think Prachi gave a very beautiful 360-degree coverage, I would say, to how to start the practice and how to. But the most important thing is when you start your practice, you do not know what to do and what thing. So, as she rightly said, no, what is your core competent area? Okay, for example, if you are a cataract surgeon or a refractive surgeon, invest in that type of equipment. Just because your neighbor has got something which is totally irrelevant to your practice, it doesn't mean that you have to buy it. So I think that's very important. Number one, you should know your limits and know exactly. And when you start a practice next 5 years, you need to have your vision. What exactly you want your practice to go in the next 5 years, or even 10 years for that matter. So you can plan accordingly from the day one, and that's very important. Again, I think she mentioned that also. So it's a long term plan, and I think all other aspects are very good. Showing compassion, empathy. Every patient is important because the patients are the best ambassadors for you, and not, of course, the social media and the advertisements and all other things are also there. But these are all very costly affairs. The only best ambassador for you is the word to mouth, what do you call, propaganda, which you can get from the patients, from the happy patients. So one happy patient can get you around another 100 patients for you, for that matter. I think it's very important for you to consider each and every patient and give the utmost care to each and every, give that a USP. And each practice has got to have a USP, unique selling proposition. A unique selling proposition means, for example, if you have, for example, the corporates and the people, patients who are going to the institution, they'll not be able to get the personalized practice. Okay, a personalized what do you call, attention. For example, if you go to a big institution, one person will be operating, the another person will be seeing the pre-operative, another person will be doing the post-operative. You cannot meet. Whereas in a private practice, you can tell the patient. Of course, the patient is very happy because they are able to see you every time they come and every time they relate to you. And you should be available, accessible to these patients all 24 hours and every time, because I don't mind giving my phones to my patients because I tell them very clearly, but you should try to call me at this particular time. Another important aspect of the practice is, everybody forgets that, is that please start your community work right in the beginning. Okay, when you start a private practice, you allot, whether it's 20, 10%, 20%, or 30%, whatever it is. Nowadays, now our hospital, we are doing about 30-35% completely free of cost. But to start with, at least 5%, 10% you can do, because this community ophthalmology gives you credibility in the society. Okay, and this credibility is very, very important for a practice to develop. So, and this, the message will spread. The goodwill is more important initially than your money and other aspects. The goodwill will automatically bring you more patients, reflect into more number of patients, and that your traffic into your hospital will definitely increase. So, community ophthalmology is something which I would like you to focus on, and of course, the main practice. And of course, you have to be the, for example, if you're going to do a good practice, cataract practice, the basic equipment is an optical biometer, the OCT, and a good operation microscope, a fairly good phaco machine. All these things you have to have. So without this, you cannot go to the next level, or whatever level for that matter. Nowadays, it's so difficult. Whether you're using the premium lenses or the regular unifocal lenses, whatever it is, for the regular basic level, the good cataract practice, you need to have some basic equipment. So don't, what do you call, I would say, hesitate or to invest in technology. But before you invest in technology, what is more important is you should do a pilot study. For example, I will tell you a rough rule of thumb. A rule of thumb is, suppose you see 100 patients a day in the OP, okay? You will be operating about 100 patients, 100, you will be doing about 100 surgeries a month, okay? Approximately, I'm telling you. This is a rule, a broad rule, I would say, rule of thumb. So you know exactly what, suppose you're seeing 50 patients, you may be operating only 50. So accordingly, you know exactly what is your strength, what is your weakness. And based on that, you do an introspection. Find out, okay, these are my core strengths, these are my core weaknesses, and try to develop those areas which are you are strong in that area. So whatever your strengths, you work on that. And I think everybody has got a potential to become better and better. And what I would suggest is, when you start your practice nowadays, okay, when we started, me and Sudhata started way back in 95, we started Rajan Ekar, we started in a 4,000 square feet. Today is about 25,000 square feet. We got four centers in Chennai. But I'm just telling you, at that time itself, you should start your vision. That is, vision is very important. The vision is something which is very important for all of us. Because another 5 years, 10 years down the line, you should look at a group practice wherein more people will come and operate in your center. So, all these things you should start right in the beginning. Have a mental plan and a game plan for your practice. And Prachi, you did it so very well, and as if you have about 3 decades of experience, the way you spoke, really fantastic. Hats off to you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah.
So can I add a few points?
Yes.
Yeah. I think very wonderful presentation, and basically, lot of young ophthalmologists, when they want to start the practice, they have this question: Sir, can I start in a small way? Can I start only an OPD center, or can I practice part time? So, but nowadays, what is the general advice is, because the standards of eye care is now set up by corporate hospitals. So people expect eye hospital to be of a particular standard, just like how we go to a restaurant. If you want to go to a restaurant, you are expecting a certain standard. So eye hospital also, people want to see that, okay, there is maybe it's in a size of 3,000, 4,000 square feet, and is there a receptionist? Is there an OT inside? So at least the basic minimum standards in a good location, all these things are important, because if you're practicing part-time or if you are in a small OPD kind of a setup, people don't look at you as a serious practitioner. So the common advice which we give practitioners is to start in a decent way, because nowadays that standard has already been set by the hospitals. So starting small and then growing might be very difficult. So start decently. We are not telling you have to invest to start with the LASIK equipment, but at least with the OT inside. That is something very important. And identifying your target market. Majority of the times, we don't understand who is our target, whether it's the premium people, or whether it's a charitable, or whether people who can pay as if you think about what Kishore Biyani, the founder of Big Bazaar, said. So he divides India into three: India A, B, and C. So out of 140 crore population, 1.4% or 1.4 14 crore people, or 10 to 12% of the people, are the people who can afford all our, say, cataract surgeries for 40,000 and upward, or LASIK for 50,000 and upward. So how do you identify that India is basically somebody having a maid in their house? So somebody having a car. These are the people ideally the target for all the private practitioner ophthalmologists. So then there is the India B, which is working for India A, which is around 30% of the population. And then we have 60 crore people who are almost in the poverty line, or they are struggling for their own survival. So there is no point in targeting the community or the charitable population unless you have funding support. So identifying your right target market is also something important. So starting in a decent way as per the expectations of the customer or the patient, and then targeting the right clientele. And still, as Dr. Mohan Rajan sir said, what is the niche which a private practitioner can provide, which the corporate cannot do, is basically you can provide that customized service. So you can actually, you will be the person who is fully responsible. You are going to see the pre-op, you are going to do the surgery, you are going to do the post-op. So you develop yourself as the neighborhood trustable doctor. I think if that is the area where majority of the private practice, there is still a huge opportunity for private practitioners, individual hospitals. But provided you understand your area of competence, or where you can actually compete with the corporate organizations. And as Dr. Prachi said, practice always takes time. Like the sequoia trees, and if you go into the Amazon forest, they are so big, but they didn't grow in one day. It took a lot of quiet, we call it as quiet compounding. Like even Dr. Mohan Rajan says, practice is not grown in one day. So what started as a practice, to reach that level, he has been continuously improving it day by day and perfecting it, and then changing his model, and then all those things leads to that a bigger organization. So the younger generation also has to be patient to reach that. We cannot see those sequoia trees and think that, oh, I can become like that immediately. But if you do constant improvements every day, so are we improving your practice today? What is the better thing I have done compared to last month? So if you try to improvise yourself and also think about innovative ways. And finally, I think more important is also the psychology behind the patient expectations, and then all those things you need to understand. For example, just to give you a small this thing, I go to many eye hospitals where we have 20-25 different options of cataract lenses or surgery provided to the patient. So what happens is, when you have 25 different options, it confuses the patient. A patient undergoes something called as choice paralysis. So patient doesn't have that because you think yourself as a patient. If somebody gives you 25 different choices, you don't know which to take. So rather than that, try to limit your choices to three or four, and guide the patient to select that whichever you want him to select. So that will help. So all these psychological aspects of practice, or for example, if a patient sees, and I think many of us see patient who are going to Google and then coming to us, so we immediately get upset. Because I've seen many doctors who always who have even put like Google questions are not allowed. So rather than getting upset,
Good one.
so
Yes.
rather than getting upset that the patient has gone to the Google and becoming defensive, you can only say, "Oh, thank you that you." That means that the patient has really taken interest about his disease process or LASIK or the lenses. You try to acknowledge him that, okay, I'm happy that you've got done the research, but I can provide you, because being in the field, Google doesn't give you all the information customized to you. But as a practitioner practicing for 20-30 years, I can provide you the customized information. So all those psychological aspects also play a lot of important role in that. And I think I've kept the background of my book, The Psychology
Yes,
of
yes.
the
No, no, I would suggest that people, we have access to this book, Psychology of Medical Practice, is probably one of, me and Sujata are in awe of this book, really, Sandil, I tell you. Going through this book, really fantastic. It's an eye opener for all of us. I'm sure that you should make it available for all the speakers
No,
and panelists
it
here.
definitely, definitely.
Yes,
So, and it's available in Amazon. So I would request all of you to read it and give your feedback for me to improvise also on that. And thanks to Women Ophthalmic Society for encouraging men to be a part of the session. And
yes, yes.
thank you. And so
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to continuing to more discussion.
And regarding the Mohita, can we continue, or you want somebody else to
Yes,
talk?
yes, yes, yes,
Yeah.
please.
Mohita, your talk was really fantastic as usual. You really rock. And the IOL bundling, I would say, it's a double-edged weapon. So, especially for beginners, what I would suggest is, okay, this IOL bundling. Suppose you have an IOL bundling and try to get an equipment. It's like a Damocles sword for you. You say you have to. They are forced to. It's like a marriage which cannot be divorced. So it's like that. Suppose you are buying Alcon, you are bundling with Alcon. You are forced to use their lenses. So I would strongly discourage people not to do IOL bundling. So suppose they want to buy or if you're going to do the IOL bundling, you should have your own terms, not the company's terms, which is very important. For example, you are using about 100 lenses per month, right? And you have to tell them that I will use about 20, 30, or 40 lenses only of your. So you make it half, right? Whatever it is. Not and those, because those guys will tell, I'm no, sorry, those will say you use about.
I think we've lost sir.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we've lost connection with Dr. Mohan Rajan sir. And Dr. Arati has put up her hand. I think she wants to say something.
Uh, Hello, everyone. A very good evening. So, first, just a question to Dr. Prachi, if I may ask, Dr. Mohita.
Yeah, surely.
Dr. Prachi, according to you, so there's a lot of pressure for young doctors to grow their practice very quickly. So, what are the mistakes or the shortcuts that a young ophthalmologist should avoid in the first few years of building their practice? Any take on that?
Yeah, there may be many mistakes. Overhiring of the staff, uh, like initial few years, I also used to do my refraction on my own because since like Dr. Mohan Rajan was saying, 100 cases in a month, like I would say as a beginner, you won't get 100 cases in a month. You can get 100 refractions in a month, so you can avoid optometrist hiring a optometrist. You can do refraction on your own because basically patient will come first for refraction only. If they are satisfied with the refraction, then they will bring their elderly people for cataract surgery opinion.
That's a very good, valid point.
And so overhiring of the staff is one thing. Another is buying an expensive equipments. Okay, but nowadays you cannot practice without OCT. No,
No, no,
because
basic.
OCT is mandatory. You cannot practice without OCT. You can have Indian OCTs. There are options to buy, and you have options for bundling your equipments. So you need to have OCT fields. There are portable fields also available in the market. You can go for that. And like Dr. Senthil has also said, ki nowadays you need to have a daycare center only from the day one. Like I also have a daycare center with OCT, fundus camera, and fields, YAG laser. Yes, you can set up surgical retina and the green laser later on, and the LASIK definitely later on. But these machines are mandatory for ophthalmic practice.
Yeah, absolutely, I fully agree with you because gone are the days wherein we can just practice with a slit lamp and a refraction unit is all gone. So now I think we should have a basic minimum criteria. The basic minimum criteria is all the equipment, whatever we told just now for a basic this thing. Then if you want to do retina practice, then lasers and other things. But YAG laser, OCT, good operation microscope, and I would if you can have a operation theater in your own place, okay, that makes a huge difference because that will convert your patients because all under one roof you are giving patient, otherwise operating in another place is going to be a problem and you may lose some patients as well. So uh, I think
Yeah,
very nice.
You can
and
operate
Yeah.
one eye, other eye definitely patient will go to that center only.
no, and more important is the ambience of the center. All those things also equally matters because patient may not appreciate that the OCT is costing 25 lakhs, but the patient might appreciate a good ambience in your reception, and then good customer service. I think all those things matter a lot. And along with your in-clinic presence, your digital presence also makes a lot of importance, because people nowadays actually want to understand you virtually before they actually come into your clinic. We call it the digital front door is equally important than the clinic front door also. Like your website and your Instagram, your
Yes.
all your social media profile, all those things. Because nowadays the younger generation doesn't operate like the previous people. So they want to actually understand everything about Dr. Prachi, how her centers look from their home only. They want to see the presentation, your Google reviews, and then how many surgeries you have done, what kind of YouTube videos you have put. All those things equally matter. So creating, investing on those things also are equally important in if you really want to get those patients. Because even for appointment fixing nowadays, the younger generation, they don't want to call the hospital. They want to fix appointment online, and they don't really want to wait also to come and see you, because the waiting time also people don't like. And the transparency of pricing. There is a hospital in Bangalore, it's called the Super Health Hospital. If you go to they don't have a reception at all. So you can know there is zero waiting time. And the younger generation likes those kind of hospitals. They really don't want to wait to see a doctor. And even the pricing transparency is that high that you take a package of I think 2500 rupees in the Super Health Hospital, you get unlimited consultations free. So you don't have to pay again and again consultation every for the year. And they also have certain things, like, because they understand. See, whenever you suggest an OCT nowadays, patients are very suspicious. They don't they think that, oh, doctors suggesting this test unnecessarily. So the moment you create that price transparency and you say, okay, you pay me a fixed amount every year, but we will do the test only when it is necessary. So those things are all making a lot of difference. The generation or the Gen Z thinks in a different way. For example, the Tamil Nadu government itself was created by the Gen Z just by Instagram and YouTube and all
Absolutely.
these things.
Yes.
So they have disrupted the 60
Then
year
the government.
60-year-old popular DMK, DMK, and a new party could come to power with 2 years. So basically, you need to think like the Gen Z and then cater to them if you really want to attract them into the hospital. And they make the decision for their parents. So the Gen Z is going to decide for their parents. So you are also, because I was, the Super Health Hospital was introduced by my son. He said, like, oh, this is the hospital which I would like to go if I go. It's in Bangalore. It does zero waiting time. You just pay fixed amount, unlimited consultation. They even do, I think, a CT scan in that 2500, meaning they're telling that if you need CT only, we will do. We are not going to do CT unnecessarily for you. And they have fixed packages for every other thing. Like a pregnancy, you pay 1 lakh or 99,000. So whether it's normal delivery or cesarean, everything you get it at 99,000 rupees. So they don't charge you extra. So, so all those things we need to be thinking of those things. You can stop me if I'm taking a lot of time.
Mohita ma'am, can I just ask one question? I think it's quite relevant for all the eye surgeons.
Yeah,
Mm.
surely.
Ha. So, ma'am, usually IOL prices they seem to increase every year, especially when we're talking about the imported lens. So, when we opt for an bundling agreement with the company, so how does it work in long term? Like, is the price like fixed for the entire tenure of the agreement, or it can do they revise it every year?
No,
I think
price is fixed. When we are going for a bundling, the price is fixed.
okay,
And normally 10 years, they don't bundle, from what I know. They would do it for 2, 3, 4 years,
2 years,
maximum
2 years.
5 years.
so
That
for that
much. No, how
entire
much, sir?
period of
Yes,
Yeah,
same
the
price.
price remains fixed. It remains
okay,
fixed. There are no changes in the price.
Another important thing is, Moita and Arti, I would say,
hmm.
is that IOL bundling, please understand the price, what they are going to, suppose you are going to for an IOL bundling, they may hike the price for you.
Hmm.
They will increase
They
it by
have the premium.
20% and give it to you. Okay. But the problem is when that's why I'm telling IOL bundling is a very, 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 very double-edged weapon. So what I would suggest is I would give a message to all the people who are doing IOL bundling. Please inquire with some people, colleagues, what is the cost of the each IOL they are paying, especially for the high volume people, corporates. They may not be able to reveal it, but if you have some very close friends in their circle, in that circle, they'll be able to. For example, if you ask me, okay, I'll be able to tell what lens, what I'm paying for this high ans lens or a Clarion lens or whatever it is to the Alcon company. So you need to get a rate which is less than that, but definitely not more than that. Because these people, what they will do is when you do the IOL bundling, because they are giving an equipment or something which is free of cost for you, they will hike the price of the IOLs, and you may not even know about it, and you'll be paying this hiked price for the next 2 or 3 years, and how much of money you'll be losing on that. So that's I
And
think
they
very.
will, sir is right. They will sometimes tell you that there is no premium attached to it. So it is very important. You should ask one of your colleagues what price they are getting for the IOL, and then accordingly talk to them. You cannot believe that there is no premium attached to it. Most of the times they will attach a premium to it.
See, as Dr. Rajan sir said, IOL bundling should not be considered by practitioners who don't have a high volume. So if you are a new practitioner, if you are doing say less than 20, 30 procedures in a month, you will be stuck with the company for a lifelong, and there is nothing like a free lunch. So basically, you are going to overpay. So rather than considering a costly equipment which will cost say 60 lakh rupees on an IOL bundling, think about an equipment which will cost you 20 lakhs or 22 lakhs where you can buy it without the bundling option. Still, I think in your initial stages of practice, you can do that way. And when your bundling works for large corporates, because they're going to do thousands of surgeries, or bundling works for practitioners who have huge volume, then it is good for them. But I think many young practitioners also get led into that bundling option, and then they get stuck with the company for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years without any option to change. And why should we lose our freedom? No, I think in life,
Yeah.
freedom is the most
Not only
important.
freedom, Sendil, not only freedom. Nowadays, Mogita rightly said no. The patients are coming in and asking, I want pure C lens, I want VVT lens,
Yeah.
I want this ODC lens or whatever it is. They're asking for that particular brand, and they
Yeah.
want the label also. So I think it's very
Majority of
important.
our patients used to first leave it on us and they used to ask us to choose the lens, but now that is not the case.
They're
Sir is
coming
right.
with the
They're
brand,
coming with a choice.
with the
Because the
choice. Yes.
companies bundle the doctors, on the other hand, they also directly promote to the patients so that patients go and ask for that particular lens. So that
Yeah.
becomes a challenge again.
So instead of IOL bundling, what I would suggest is suppose you want to buy an equipment, for example, a phaco machine which is about 50 lakhs or whatever it is, go for a deferred payment with the company. So deferred, or you can get it on lease also, deferred payment or whatever it is, which and before that, you have to again make sure, okay, that the cost, whatever they are quoting, is the normal cost or a little less for you, whatever it is, but definitely not more than that. So I think
It should not be that you ended up paying a lot of interest. You might as
that's
well take
all.
a loan
No,
otherwise, yeah,
deferred payment without any interest.
without any
That's
interest.
what
Yes.
we have bought a lot of equipment like that with Alcon, J&J with no interest. But
Mm.
initially you have to fix the price with them, something like a forward contract. Okay, fix the price with them and make sure that the price whatever is in. Before that, you talk to number of people and negotiate the best price for them, and then go for deferred payment. So yeah, that's one.
So right in the beginning, don't ask for the deferred payment. First, you negotiate and fix up a deal, and then after that, go and ask for deferred.
Absolutely. Yes. One by one, we should ask. Yes. And now I think we are doing the work on the steering committee for the trade relations because a lot of people are having problem with the AMC and the CMC. So we can even ask in the beginning, it's a suggestion. In the beginning, when you buy equipment, very costly equipment, for example, you're buying a Femto or a LASIK machine or something, you should ask for a 3 year or for even 5 year CMC, comprehensive maintenance, which is there. from the company. So the companies are gaining a lot by giving it to you. So I think right in the beginning, when you before you buy the equipment, once you buy the equipment, okay, and they are they have the upper hand.
The boss.
Yeah, they are the boss, correct. But before that, you are the boss, so you need to make sure.
I
Yeah.
think Dr. Jayashree, Dr. Rohit is also, Dr. Rohit Podi is also there. So you
Mohita,
can take his
can I
opinion.
leave? Mohita, can I want to leave because I have a
Yes, yes, sir.
A was Zoom meeting on the
Thank
NAB.
you so much, sir. Your inputs were very, very useful.
Thanks a lot for
Thank you, sir.
inviting me for this wonderful WOS meeting. Thank you. Thanks,
Thank
Sandil.
you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
Bye, bye, Jayashree, everybody.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir. Yes, madam. As madam has mentioned, we have Dr. Rohit Modi, Dr. Monica Chaitanya also. So, apart from this high, extremely technical aspect of practice, also, I would like to ask few personal aspects of the actually psychological aspects also of practice. Like we are always speaking about work-life balance, and initial years it will be something that is difficult to achieve, isn't it? So, Dr. Monica, this one is to you. So, how do you find that balance?
Um, so ma'am, first thing first, I never gave up. Like, during the pregnancy, my DNB was going on, with those swollen feet, with that vomiting. I used to work, and with my small baby also, I never took a break, like 6 months break or 1 year break, because once you take a break, na, it becomes very difficult to come back. So you again have to start from the scratch. So my child was with me all the time. I have carried my small 4 months old baby to a conference. We have gone to AIUS, first AIUS, he was 8 months old. So I have all, and now he's in 12th grade, they still come to my clinic. So my kids have always been with me. They have never been neglected. They are always under constant observation, but I never gave up my practice. I never stopped for a day. And along with that, we have to understand that profession is a part of life and not heart of life. If for the profession we lose our family, if you're not enjoying your life, see, all this was meant to earn money and to give a happy life to your family. But if that is gone somewhere, and we are just taking laurels and awards and international conferences, and then family life is getting compromised, I don't think that makes any sense.
So, what you are saying is the role and the priorities clear to you from day one.
Yes, ma'am. And planning is very important. Most important is you need to plan everything in advance.
Okay,
I
great.
mean, when I was doing DNB, I had started planning that, what do I want to do? It's not that ki once your, post graduation is over, then 6 months you spend thinking now what you want to do. So you have to start planning for future. And when I was working with IQ, I had already bought my private place, and the construction was under process. So now I left IQ, within 10 days, I started my private practice.
Okay, so exactly what Mohan sir had mentioned, you had that vision.
We have to have, ma'am.
Yes. And
Um,
thank you, ma'am. Dr. Rohit Modi is also there. So, sir, your comments on the first presentation and the second presentation.
Yeah, so lot of my practice, principles and way we do it, I have learned from numerous AIS conferences and Opthal workshops. So thank you, Dr. Senthil and AIOC. Second, I agree with a lot of things what Dr. Prachi had said. And also what Dr. Senthil said that, when I and Shraddha started practice, we started with the OPD and then slowly we build up. But now I see the scenario in Mumbai has changed. Starting small you may not be able to scale up that fast. So, we need to start with at least a basic setup which has a good, decent diagnostic and a OT setup. One of the things which I've noticed, in last few years of practices, whenever the newer, juniors are coming in, they're charging very less to, convert for surgeries. I feel in the long run, they may suffer because they are not understanding the concept of return on investment. And when we have to upgrade or buy a new technology or replace an equipment or repair a machinery, that cost gets significantly added. And as your staff gets older, their salaries also start increasing. So, starting at a decent price point, which is equivalent to a senior in that area, I feel that also sends a message to the patient that you're confident enough to charge that much and to deliver that level of practice. So that is one of the things. And one of the things which I've learned with Dr. Senthil is that we always don't need to buy a very expensive equipment. We can buy, there are a lot of Indian companies. I'm a retina guy, so I prefer vitrectomy machines made by Indian companies, which give excellent service. And I know, companies like Kerato Systems, Reticate, they don't even charge a CMC for last 10 years. So, understanding the nitty-gritty and not just going with what is being spoken in the live surgeries or sponsored talks is something we can understand. And a lot of big institutes, their deals with the bigger companies are at a different level. Alcon or these bigger companies give them deals which is much better than a private practitioner. So we end up, learning on these bigger equipments, fancier equipments. But when we come to private practice, a little bit of adjustment can save a lot of money and headache.
Okay, that's great point. There is one question that since you both are together in this session, I wanted to ask Shraddha, especially like having your spouse in the same team. Does that help your practice much? How is it?
So if I have to put it from a very philosophical way, I wouldn't have it any other way. So yes, there will be uh, uh, again philosophy. There will be positives, there will be negatives. Okay, and with everything in life, with each and every relationship, with each and everything that you do in life, nothing is going to be black and white. Even Indra Nui said that there's a price you pay for something. So you don't become the CEO of PepsiCo and also have a fantastic, bring donuts to the school meet for your children. You don't get to do both. So there are pros and cons. There are huge amounts of adjustments, but I wouldn't have it any other way because the amount of support and the thought process clarity that I get while working with an eye specialist spouse, that is amazing and it works for me. So while we are at it, I wanted to ask Dr. Mohita ma'am and probably Dr. Arti also about equipment. We have these big machines, big advertisements. Uh, how do you decide that this in thing is actually helping my practice, or is it just something that I'm buying because I like it? Buying an iPhone 17 Pro Max, uh, just I need the justification that okay, it's actually making sense for me in terms of my practice versus is it just I like it, so I'm doing it.
So,
So,
yeah,
yeah,
ma'am,
Dr.
please.
Aarti first.
No, no,
Aarti
ma'am,
first.
please go ahead. Please, please.
Okay. So, so as far as equipment is concerned, so many new equipment comes every day. You do tend to be taken in by that and you want to buy all that. And many a times you will find that there is a lot of peer pressure. And whatever, as Dr. Senthil said, whatever your, or who said, I think Dr. Senthil who said, whatever your neighbor has purchased, you want to buy that. And I feel that is one pressure you should not be under. You should see what your practice needs because you may have a particular USP. Dr. Prachi gave us this wonderful message that your practice would have a particular USP. All practices cannot be the same. you may be known for one particular thing. Now, if you are known for that particular thing, you have to have everything that is best for that particular super specialty or for that particular thing for which your center is known. But rest of the things can be kind of something which can, with which you could, which you could just manage. Everything need not be the best, because if everything is the best, the cost will go up so high that it is not going to be cost effective. So when I purchase a machine, I always calculate what will be my ROI on that machine, what will be the investment, sorry, and how fast will be the break even. This is something a few years back we used to not do. You know, sorry, man, used to not do this a few years back. And then there were some machines who were just lying there and they were never cost effective. Yes, of course, there will be one or two machines which will not give you those returns. But yes, most of the machines I feel should be able to give you the returns, and that is
Abhijit,
how you have to learn to
Abhijit.
buy them. Yeah, Dr.
See,
Aarti now.
yeah. So, ma'am, I completely agree with you. I also feel that the machine should add value to your practice. For example, like I have a very high volume practice, and I have a lot of premium IOLs in my practice. So I need to have that kind of a biometer which will do justice to it. I will have to invest more in a digital, device which can give me a good overlay so that I can do my toric markings or do my centrations well, or a very good phaco machine which can give me a quick result. So completely, as you said, that the machine should add value to your own practice. You should first understand your practice and then invest. And of course, it should be a gradual process. Start from what is minimum required, and accordingly you can scale up. But everything in the end depends, everything in the end boils to how you are delivering. Your patient should be happy, so whatever works in your patient's favor, that should be your option, be it
One thing
expensive
I want
instrument
to
or
add,
be it less.
yeah, what same thing as what you were saying, that it is not that an Indian machine is bad or a foreign machine is good. If Indian machine is cost effective, giving you better returns, and is working almost as well or as well, then I would go in for an Indian machine,
Correct.
as Dr. Senthil also said, and Dr. Modi.
And while we are at it, Dr. Prachi, you had an excellent, very, a logical presentation. Say, Monday morning, three things that you have to check. Okay, last week, this was, some numbers that you had to just look at. What would be your advice? Quick, like 1 minute answer, maybe.
Every, like last week, how many number of OPD patients, how many number of follow-ups, and the most important is follow-up. So software here plays a good role. Like you should have digital software. Earlier we won't be having, but nowadays software plays a good role because they keep on reminding our patients about follow-ups. So, number of OPD patients, number of conversions, how many patients you have advised surgery and how many you have actually converted into a surgery, and why? What is the loophole behind the conversion different, like percentage of your conversion? It should be ideally, they say that should be 70% conversion ratio should be there. So you should check, and everything for a beginner you have to check your housekeeping also, staffing also, consumables also. So you should have an inventory also, and whether it is another chapter, you have pharmacy or opticals or not, that is a totally another chapter.
Dr. Arti, before you go, I'll take this opportunity because a lot of people are hearing, and you have a fantastic mentor as your father, um, uh, you know, whom you've been with for 10 years. What would be that one advice that is like a game changer? You think that he has given you one principle that he follows, which you would, want to shout it out and say out to the world?
So thank you, Dr. Shraddha. So the only one thing I say, that your practice should be patient centric. If you keep your patient first, you will go a long run. So that is one very good advice given by my father, and what I would like to pass to all the audience here. Think about the patient first, and rest will follow.
Excellent. So, Dr. Mohita ma'am, you started your practice on your own. What was that one point, or when did you decide that okay, from one doctor-centric practice, this becomes an institute, or what would be that one step you took which helped you jump that bridge?
So I have sometimes shared these in my presentations that I joined the LDP program of AIUS. At that time, Dr. Natarajan was looking after this LDP program, and the group that was there, he asked all of us. I was a solo practitioner at that time. That he asked a question from all of us. He said, "How many of you went while you are here for?" We were there for 3 days in Mumbai. How many of you 80% of the work is continuing while you are away from your work, and for how many 20% is continuing. So all of us were 20% work happening. So whoever was a solo practitioner, they raised their hand for 20%, including me myself, which means 80% work stopped while I was not there. So then he told us that if 80% of your work has stopped, that means you are not a good leader. So you need to go back into the leadership development program, and you need to build a team such that when you are not there in your clinic or hospital, your 80% work should continue. So that was a changing point of my life. I came back and I decided now this has to change. Taking that step is difficult because when we start as solo practitioners, we tend to think whatever is earned is for us. And we don't want to share that money with others. Because of this, when I took that first step, that no, I need to get more consultants one by one. Obviously, not that I went back and got 5 consultants working with me, but then one by one over the next 3-4 years, consultants kept joining. I realized I was able to reach a point that now it is so that when I'm not there, 80% work continues. Rather, I feel 90% continues, and I feel they don't need me there, and but I'm happy because work is continuing, patients are happy, and this is the change that we all can bring about. It is many of my juniors as well as still some of my colleagues, I find them struggling because they say, because their one line is that how do I come, I'm the only person working in my setup and all work will stop. So this is my advice to them, that they have to take this step, and you will find that sometimes others are, and you have to empower the others. You have to give them authority and empower them. You cannot be, and you have to kind of somewhere dissolve your name a little and make it an institute name. So dissolving your name and coming out of that is also not easy. But then once you do that and you are able to kind of let go, you'll find things are improving, and you become what Dr. Natarajan said, you become a leader.
Right. So it requires a lot of security in terms of your psychology to, give
Let
that
go.
up, be the whole and soul.
Yes.
But it does reap benefits.
When a patient used to come and say, no, I will show to her only, I would ask them to, would ask the patient to first go to another consultant, then the consultant can show the patient to me, and I would assure the patient that this person is as good, if not better than me. So next time they were more receptive to the consultant, and gradually this change started happening.
Excellent. So, Dr. Monica, you built a fantastic name for refractive surgery. If I had to ask you, like, what would be the one thing that you have put into practice which just improved your refractive surgery numbers? Uh, or say for a budding refractive surgeon, what would be your number one advice?
So I would like to say the rule which I have always followed is I don't do anything to my patients which I cannot do for my family members. And
Okay.
this is what I teach my staff also. So basically, refraction is the most important thing which we have to understand, because as excimer lasers and as refractive machines, almost all the machines are giving excellent results. I have been fortunate enough to work with almost most of the machines and microkeratomes. So all of them give result, but your preoperative workup and whom to operate and whom to say no. And also, what is more important is to build an ethical and trustworthy practice where your patient trusts you कि whatever this doctor says is in my benefit. So if you have four packages, suggesting the most expensive one to every patient is not the approach you should follow. So
Right. Yeah, so I think most of the people said that, just being very truthful about
exactly.
stuff and being patient-centric is very, very important as the basic ethos of any practice. That
Dr. Shraddha, we have to remember that, we became doctors because if we would have to earn money, we could have become anything. We would have not spent 15 years studying and struggling and, reaching this. And so we should value our chair, and whatever advice we are giving to the patient, we should know that that is in benefit of the patient and money would follow.
Excellent. At this point, I would like Dr. Senthil to comment. We are seeing like some videos forwarded on WhatsApp which say, LASIK, there are insurance frauds happening, and LASIK is being shown as C3R. And you see some people wherein they say go for intravit injections, do the cataract also. So, Dr. Senthil, what would be your advice, with uh, for all the youngsters out there, all those people who are starting practice and they're competing with corporates with big pockets, and we don't know how much, ethics have. Where are they?
See, actually, nowadays, patients are also very smart. I don't think it is easy to kind of get away with all these unethical practices. So basically, unless you have good ethics, particularly in medical practice, I don't think because the practice of medicine is built on the foundation of trust. So unless the patient is going to trust you, or if see even that recent insurance thing, so how many people are going to trust that hospital? So though they might have got a few patients by those all those insurance thing, but still that name, once you lose the name, it's going to be very difficult, because the most important advice to young doctors is, as your degree is going to give you the respect, your degree is only going to give you respect, but your what will give you the ethics and your value systems are going to help you build a big legacy. So, for example, Dr. Mohan Rajan sir, he built a legacy because he had those good ethics and value systems. So, even if you're, because as long as you're unethical, your own staff may not trust you. And I think there is no point, there is no question of thinking about being unethical in the practice of medicine. So, and nowadays with all the social media and everything, it's not going to be easy to hide doing something which is unethical. And more so, we are not in any business, as the previous speaker said. We are in the business of medicine, which is more business with an ethics. Which there's nothing wrong in earning money, nothing wrong in charging the fee which we are due. If you are a premium surgeon, you can always charge 10,000 rupees more, and all those things are fine. But if a patient doesn't have a cataract, telling that it's a cataract, you go and get it operated. Or if we can mention LASIK as a cataract and then get the insurance claim. I think there is no point in even thinking about or doing those things. So, because the foundation of medicine is based on the trust, and as long as you don't have ethics, there is no the trust component is broken, and you will not be able to sustain as a practitioner.
Excellent. So very, very important point brought out by Dr. Senthil sir, that and something wherein you should go back to this and listen coming from a senior person like him and the others who commented, that at the end ethics do matter. Your numbers matter, but more than that, your peaceful sleep at night, your ethics as a doctor matter in the end. So be very mindful of those things also before you succumb to peer pressure of things happening around you. So we've had an excellent discussion, Dr. Jashi ma'am. Any more comments or any more remarks by anybody?
I think Dr. Rohit was a part of our practice development program. If he can give some inputs about what he gained through that, maybe that might be helpful for the younger generation doctors who wants to start practice. And Dr. Rohit, are you there?
Yes, sir. So, I learned a lot of things, but I feel the most important thing which I learned during the whole process of PDP is to make sure that the patient's experience and patient journey in hospital is well thought of by us before a patient walks in. Because before, attending off-health sessions, I used to be, I believe, like an old-timer practitioner that, patient will call and come, I have a reception and I'm going to give a service. But the biggest thing which changed after attending the opthal sessions was that, I am more into an experience economy along with service, but more of an experience economy. And then, whatever steps we could take in practice, we have taken to enhance the patient experience and try to give a wow feeling to the patient. And I feel that has helped us a lot.
So basically, this commitment for constant improvement, one thing maybe which I want people to take away is basically you don't have to do too many improvements at one go. But if you're able to build on single improvements once in a week or once in a month, or okay, last compared to last month, what have I done this month? What have I done new in my practice? What kind of improvements I have brought in? So slowly those improvements will compound. It's that is how I think you have to approach it. But if you are practicing in the regular way, doing the same thing every day over and over again, then that improvement may not happen. So are you doing something different? What have you like? See, today we were discussing about this data. Basically, you need to have the simple Excel sheet also where you need to understand like, okay, what has been my practice in the last month? So how many patients have come and how many are new, how many are old patients, what did I earn from OPD, how many OCTs I have done, how many field I have done, and how many cataracts I have advised and how many got converted, how many glasses advised converted, what is the overall revenue, a simple data sheet, and compared to last month, how has it improved? I think only if you track that in the every month, that will make a huge difference. So if any of you need those tracking sheet, you let me know. I can send it to you. And as I said, see, I'm not trying to promote the program, but basically we have seen that so many practices have grown by applying small business principles and improvements. So which and a commitment for a continuous improvement. Let's say you commit 1 year, I want to improve my practice from this level to that level, and improving those small things and learning from others, those things do a lot of changes to your practice. And another thing which is basically happening now is there is so much of negativity. The corporate is opening near me and they are advertising robotic cataract surgery, all those things. But still, I think there is always opportunity for the private practitioner. And all you need is only 20-30 patients in a day. You don't need 200 patients in a day. If you service your own 20-30 patients in a good way, I think all of us can have a good earning potential without doing anything unethical. You don't, I think money also beyond a point of time doesn't carry much value. Even if you have lot of money also, it's not going to change your life more. And so basically getting those 30 patients is not very difficult with our own Indian population now. And those 30 patients, how do you service them? How do you cater to them? How much trust you have built in those patients will define the future course of your practice. And nowadays, with so many corporates, no need to see them as a competition. Basically, you can actually also try to collaborate and cooperate to somebody. If you develop a good practice, maybe in future if the children are not becoming ophthalmologists, you always have an option to sell the practice to a corporate. Look at them in a cooperative, collaborative way. So we always say collaborate and not compete. Always there is an opportunity to collaborate with anybody. So that is those are some of the things which have worked for me. And please do feel free to get in touch if you need any support. And I think I've been giving too many advices, so I will stop at that. Yeah.
So, thank you all. So, since it is like a little overshooting time, we might think about winding up and how this session is closely in connect with our theme of Nari Nayan to Nivesh is that investing on yourself is the biggest investment, and having your own practice is a part of greatest of your asset allocation. So, and as everybody has contributed and told that it is it is our job and it should give us an income, but we also know that it has to be done with ethics, as everybody has mentioned. Patients can see through our intent. So, and the next week we are logging in for next session on first one is the retirement planning and also international investment, and subsequently one more session will be there. So we'll continue with the same energy. Thank you everyone for contributing so nicely. Each and everyone's point of view is so important. Actually, it is difficult to contain all this knowledge in such a small session. And Mohita madam, over to you for winding up comments. And one more thing, sir's psychology of money. I mean, psychology of medical practice. It's so related to psychology of money. It automatically comes that way. And I was trying to buy from Amazon that it is like probably overbooked or something. It takes a little longer time to reach me.
You will get it. You will get it soon.
And the name is so catchy. I mean, automatically I'll end up saying psychology of money. It's psychology of medical practice, equally important.
So after doing all these series on finance, money is on your mind.
Yes.
So thank you, everybody. It was a wonderful, amazing session. Lots we learned. A special thank you to Jayashree and Dr. Shraddha, who have been doing this series, and the discussions are so interesting that it always overshoots time. And thank you, Dr. Senthil. Your inputs are very, very useful, and we are all already thinking how to join your program. And we'll find out more about it as well as read the book and communicate with you more, as well as invite you for more panel discussion so that we all gain from whatever knowledge you are giving to us. And we do realize that you are multifaceted and you have helped ophthalmology in so many ways. uh, we are thankful to Dr. Mohan Rajan for joining. He's such a busy man, but yet he joined and he gave his inputs and his experience. Dr. Rohit Modi, your inputs were very, very useful to all of us, and we would want you to be a part of our sessions in future also for more such inputs. So that's about the men, and about our ladies here. Dr. Prachi was always is excellent. And as I said, what I learned in 27 years of my practice, you have learned in 7 years of your practice. So congratulations to you. And Monica is our one of the important WAS members, as so is Aarti. And both of them we look up upon for the kind of practice they do, and we admire them. And they are like role models for many, many of our young ophthalmologists, as well as uh, for not so young like us also. That we see you do your practice. And Shraddha, we really admire your reels and your social media presence, and we will have a session where we will learn more about it from you. So, and thank you to the IT scenario team, Sharik ji, for bearing with us for so long. Sharik ji, thank you so much. If you are there, we could have a group photo before we say a final goodbye. I think Sharik ji is not there. So, one group photo you could take from the phone only then, please.
Ma'am, I have taken
Lero,
a
ma'am. I'm
screenshot.
taking.
There and late, maybe.
Yes, done, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jayashree ma'am. Thank you, Mohita ma'am.
Thank
Really
you, Monica.
enjoyed the
Thank you.
session.
Thank you, everybody, for joining. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jayashree ma'am.
you.
Thank you, Mohita.
Thank you, Dr. Shraddha.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Shraddha.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.